The recent releases of albums by such progressive metal bands as Fate's Warning, Dream Theater, and Queensryche, the time might be right for the New York quintet Wicked Maraya to shine in the spotlight. And deservedly so. Their debut album, Cycles, fuses many different styles to form a sound all their own, but fans of the aforementioned band should also check out Wicked Maraya. I spoke with vocalist Lou Falco prior to their show supporting Cyclone Temple last month in Minneapolis, and we talked about the origins of the band.
Wicked Maraya has been formed. We've been together since 1988 as the band that is now. Myself, Michael, and John Idevio, the two brothers in the band, have been together since '83. This is the only band we've ever played in. We grew up next door to each other. We went through several different, just doing it for fun through the young teenage years and stuff. And come '88, their cousin Dan joined the band, the guitar player, and one of our other friends, Mike Knack, on drums. So in '88, this band formed, and we figured, all right, it was working and it was vibing, and we wanted to see where it would go. So we basically sacrificed, our quote-unquote socialized the jobs and stuff, and we started playing around the area, and through some contacts in the music industry, we hooked up with our producer of the Cycle CD, Jim Morris. We did several demos with him in Florida, also in California, and the playing around in the demos and some of the reviews in some of the metal magazines and the support from some of the college radio and some of the metal stations across the country led to the deal with Mausoleum Records in November of last year.
Lou also explained how the band came to sign the recording deal with Mausoleum Records, a German-based label who have reopened offices stateside.
Well, what happened was we were reviewed in a magazine called Metal Maniacs by Borovoy Kirgan. And from what we heard from people, he's pretty hard on a lot of bands. I had never read any of his reviews, and a couple of people told us, it was sent to him through someone that we knew who was working with us, and we were like, people were like, well, you're in trouble, and we were just like, hey, we had gotten really good reviews on the demo and some of the local fanzines and stuff, and we figured, well, if some actual, big name writer is going to trash us, whatever, and he gave us a really good review. So the fan letters started coming in tons right after that, and it turns out that one of the A&R people from Mausoleum read the review in Amsterdam, and figured if Borovoy gave us such a good review, it had to be worth looking into. And they contacted our management, and they contacted us, and we had a couple other offers from one other major and a couple other independents, and our lawyer basically felt that the Mausoleum deal at the time was the best thing. They were offering what we really wanted, so that's how we hooked up with them.
Lou also told me about the details surrounding the artwork for the Cycles album.
We were calling the CD Cycles. We had a couple of different ideas for the cover, and we wanted to do something a little different, something that maybe we hadn't seen done before. And one of the guys was like, well, I think Mike was like, our guitar player was like, how about a sonogram that basically is the beginning of the cycle of everything?
Sure.
And everyone just looked at each other and we were like, all right, let's see, and then we gave the idea to the label, and, they showed us the packaging, and we were really, really happy with it. And it's gotten a really great response. It's interesting to see how people react to it. And, but, I like the green. I never liked the color green before, but it actually kind of sticks out, and it's interesting. We figured we'd do something a little, not than your typical, painted cover, or, the artists that do it. We were like, let's try and do something totally that fit the whole, plus it's the beginning of our career, quote unquote. I mean, first CD released, we're touring, we're doing, whatever. Right. So we kind of, so that's the beginning of the life cycle. So what better way to represent, the start of the career also.
Right. What's the significance of November 5th, 1994?
That was, I think, actually the original, that was the, I'm trying to think, November 5th. Oh, there was a date that had something to do with that.
I put him on the spot.
Yeah, no, it represented something, but that was changed.
Okay.
So they already had the date there, and we figured it was kind of an inside thing that we didn't think many people would realize. So we didn't bust chops. What we wanted to do originally was have there the release date of the CD.
Right.
But since that always fluctuated and changed, one of the dates that were on there, it meant something, and then something changed. So we just said, you know what? Let's leave it. But that's cool that you picked that out. It was supposed to mean something, but I couldn't even tell you now.
Noticed it.
I couldn't even tell you now what it was supposed to mean.
I also talked to Lou about the songwriting process, and Lou took it from there.
Lyrically, I write the majority of the lyrics on this record. I wrote the majority of them on this CD. Just anything personal. Sometimes I'll just listen to what the guys have completed a song, and so half the time I won't even sit. I'll sit in another room while they're just jamming on it. I'll just vibe on what the song, it's a lot of vibe orientated. I'll just listen and what is that song? What am I picturing? Just go through some weird, whatever singers do. I don't know. But sometimes, or the other, one of the other guys will have an idea and they'll be like, well, Lou, this is what I whoever wrote the song, maybe I feel this. And, or sometimes some of the guys will have the lyrics, a couple lyrics or whether it be a full song or something, and they'll give it to me and I'll add on to it, or I'll, sometimes, if the lyrics are done, I usually never change them because, I don't like, it's someone's song. If that's what you're vibing on, you do it.
Sure.
But musically, we basically grew up on Kiss, and like Priest and Twisted Sister, and now basically myself, the next record you'll hear a lot even more weirder stuff. For the next record, I mean, we have about half the CD written.
Oh, wow.
We think, I mean, it's done, it's written. We got, but what we listen to now, I mean, from working with our producer, he had done Crimson Glory.
Okay.
He did the Transcendence record.
Sure.
So we started listening to them because, we started hearing that in our music because, we had it and our producer pulled a lot out of us, with the vocals. And so, I mean, we basically now, all I listen to right now is Tori Amos.
Cool.
She's like what I'm vibing in on right now. But as you can tell by our collection, we got Zeppelin, Toto, John Cicada, Sabotage, Trouble, Kiss, as always, Metal Church. I mean, which was a trip touring with them because it's just like, we listen to them, we just listen to everything. Bee Gees are huge in our list. They're in here somewhere. Crimson Glory, so we listen to everything, and then take a little nuance from certain things, and the new stuff you'll hear, it's actually even more like off the wall and a little out there than this CD. So this is the start of like us, because it's the first CD, like they have the phrase 10 years to write your first record,
right.
and then like 10 minutes to write your second one,
right.
And we're kind of happy because the stuff we have written now, we wrote in like a a quick shot, boom 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 boom, over like a couple of weeks span, and it's like all fresh and it's all new, and it's like taking like for the most drastic thing on the Cycle CD, the next record is probably going to be even more like weird, which is cool, and like intense, and like wow, that's cool, that's wild. But we listen, like I said, everything. I mean, nothing. We like I always say, the quote I use: we listen to everything and we listen to nothing.
Last, Wicked Maraya return to the Mirage in Minneapolis tomorrow night, as well as Saturday night, supporting Yngwie Malmsteen from the Cycles album. Here's Winter's Garden from Wicked Maraya on the Leaving Skaars radio show.
Hi, this is Lou Falco from Wicked Maraya, and you're listening to Mark Skaar on the Leaving Skaars radio show on KIOW FM 107.3 Forest City.